3, 2, 1.
Peanut Gallery Gaming.
Yay! I think some simulator games have their place, but some things just go too far. Like,
I'll rub some drumsticks on my nipples if I get free chicken for life. I've seen people do that.
Let's go.
okay.
Welcome to another episode of Peanut Gallery Gaming, where our opinions don't matter. Today we'll be discussing our experiences with Escape from Tarkov. We'll talk about our opinions on simulation games. And also we'll be going back into our memory banks and talking about our favorite games / vintage games we played growing up. And we're also going to bring in all the systems that we owned while growing up. Let's introduce ourselves, who's joining us at the table today. As always, I'm Hotted, joined by Stinky Bandit.
G'day.
We also have Hoagie Dog.
Hello, hello.
Got Barto El Perso.
Hello.
And last but not least, we have Uncle Blobby.
Yes. Happy Saturday, everybody. Glad to be here.
Thank you. How's everybody doing this week? Good?
Perfect.
Pretty good. Enjoying the heat wave.
I sweat my balls off.
Yeah, I'm
There's
still
a lot of-
alive, so
A lot of that
should
going
be
on
good.
lately.
But sweating balls off or being alive?
Both.
I mean, there's probably life in my balls forming. Like, not in my balls, but around the frothy mess that is of where. Yeah. This heat wave needs to. Yeah, this heat wave
Be
needs
moist.
to end. Moist.
Moist.
Let's dive into our first discussion here. I know that Hoagie, Uncle Blobby, and I have been playing a lot of Escape from Tarkov. So why don't we dive into that? Well, I'll start off with it's a closed beta game, first-person shooter that started in 2016. So we're arriving late to the game.
Aren't you always?
Always. So, pick this game up for $60. Be able to play the beta, and I would say it's worth it.
It's an expensive beta, though. Like, I haven't played it, so I've got nothing on it. But
It's a
an
5-year-old
old game that's still beta, $60.
Yeah.
$0.20.
5-year-old game beta? That's crazy. Okay, so explain this game to us.
Okay, so this game is full of adrenaline rush and excitement at the same time.
And the heart attack simulator.
Yeah, makes your heart go pretty good here. Basically, you can play as a scav or a PC, or MPC, I should say, or PMC.
PMC.
And risk of losing your stuff is what gives you the adrenaline rush, because you're supposed to evac out without dying. And if you die, all your stuff is gone. Unless you insure it, of course, and someone else doesn't loot your body and successfully extract with it.
I'm raising my hand with a question.
Okay, go on.
What did you say? MPC? Is that what you said?
PMC.
PMC.
What does that stand for?
Player made character.
Oh, okay.
Glad you had the answer for that one. I didn't even know it.
It's pretty much your main character.
Okay.
You know, your main guy that you use to play as. It's the one you put all your good stuff on.
And
So
or
you make multiple characters, so you can go in there with a trash character and loot and then
No,
bring that stuff back to your
you
main
have your
character?
PMC, which is your main character that you do most of it on, but you also every 15 minutes you can do a scav run, which is you'll spawn with a random character, random loot, and a random area, and there's other scavs on the map that are friendly towards you, but all PMCs that are on the map, other players, are hostile towards you, but you don't know what you're going to go in with, if you're going to have armor, like body armor or a helmet, where you got to extract or how much time you have. It varies with each one.
and it's super realistic. If you run in and you get shot once in the face, you're dead.
You have light bleeding, heavy bleeding, fractures, broken bones. You have, say you broke your leg, but you don't have the thing to repair it. If you start sprinting, it causes damage to you. You'll have pain tremors in the game. It's very realistic.
It's pretty intense.
So each one of the different injuries, like the light bleeding or the heavy bleeding or the broken leg or whatever else there may be, they each require their own unique type of first aid item. So if you have like the first aid kit that heals your HP, that's all well and good, but it doesn't stop you from bleeding unless you have like a bandage. And if you have the heavy bleed, then you need like a tourniquet to stop the bleeding, or you're going to keep losing HP. And like Hoagie, I think, was just saying, if you have like a broken leg and you try to sprint, then your character is gonna your character is gonna take more and more damage. And you can even I think it was yesterday we were playing and Hoagie's character had like 2 broken legs. And we were trying to get across the map to the extraction point, and he could only move very, very slowly.
There is a time limit to each.
And there's a time limit to when you can extract, and it's intense.
Yeah, and obviously if you can't sprint, you can only move at like a snail's pace, you're going to be basically a sitting duck for any other person on the map.
Right, because there's a lot of open areas that you kind of have to cross sometimes and stuff that are just high, what's the word I'm looking for? High traffic areas, so chances of getting killed are way up there. But that also, like, talking about the healing side of stuff and all the stuff you have to heal the different, that brings you into the pool. There is so much in this game. Different gun styles. You can completely build a gun from scratch with an upper and, pistol grips and stuff like that. And you can change stuff. There's just all kinds of little things in this game. It's got a lot.
Yeah. You can choose what your character looks like too.
Yep. There's so many different like body armors and helmets and headsets so you can hear sounds better, and backpacks and random food items, because you have a energy meter and a water meter. Energy is pretty much your food, and if they go down to 0, you start taking damage because you're dehydrated or you're out of energy. You're starving. And like, there's just so much loot in this game. I guess you could call it loot because you can find it in game, but a lot of it's in traders and stuff. There's a lot. And like, if you find something you've never, like, you're fresh to the game, you don't know what anything is. You have to examine it and learn what it is before you can even use it. So say you found like an energy drink and it's your first time ever finding one. You don't know what it is. It's just a bunch of question marks. You have to examine it, which takes a couple seconds, and then you can use it. And now for the rest of the time, if you ever find another energy drink like that, of course, you know what it is now, but it's got a lot of content.
So, Stinky, you like games with lots of intricate details and stuff like that. I would suggest this game to you. You would enjoy it, except for the first-person shooter part.
I would enjoy it up until I got my first broken leg, and then I'm done. Like that sounds like a chore.
Well, yeah, and it's only for the computer right now. I don't know if they're going to be releasing it on console. That would be something that they could tackle. And I started my PC off. I had 8 gigs of RAM. Had to go buy more RAM to actually play it.
Yeah,
how much does it need? 16, 12?
Probably
7.
8 is the minimum. And it was not running it at all. So I went and bought 16 more gigs of RAM. And now it runs it just perfectly fine. 24 gigs of RAM total.
So one of the other... Sorry.
Go ahead.
One of the other things about this game that makes it a little more quote unquote hardcore or realistic are things like there's no like heads up display that shows you how much ammo you have left in your magazine. There's no little arrows that show you who on the screen is your party members or where they're at. There's no like map in the game at all. You have to just like figure out the maps on your own, or have a second monitor and have like a map on a website open to look at, just so you know where you are in the game and where the extracts are.
I've team shot a few of you guys while playing.
Hell, last match we played with Bobby, I fucking murdered his ass. There's no indication. And put it on your character.
Realistic game.
It's very
realistic. Okay.
And like, there's different maps that you can go into, and like one of them that Hotted apparently likes is called Factory, and it's super close quarters, and there's a lot of scavs and people in there. So it's really easy to just light up your teammate, especially if you're on a scav run and you spawn in different areas. That's what happened to Uncle Blobby. He met my full auto machine.
So what you're saying is you're playing a simulator?
It's close.
It's kind of like a military simulation.
But it's like a post-apocalyptic military simulator.
Yeah.
Which is a nice segue into our next segment. The topic of simulation games. Oh. You guys want to move on to that?
Any simulation games, I don't think.
You don't think?
I swear you just described a simulation game to me.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, that did sound like a
counts. But other than that, would you consider a simulation game? Like, give me some examples.
Sim City.
Never played it. Can't play it.
It's like a new game on VR, Brian, where you clean up biohazard messes.
Oh, I can't remember. I know exactly which one.
I know what game you're talking about because I've seen videos of it, but I've never played that game. I've never played Sims or Sim City or what is that Roller Coaster Tycoon game? I don't play games like that.
Well, Farming Simulator.
Never played it.
Loved it. I love that game.
Lawnmower Simulator? I still want to try that.
Pressure Washer Simulator?
Never played anything like that. Except for, I guess, Tarkov was about the only one, really.
Any Forza game I'd count as a simulator game. Almost any racing game that tries to be realistic.
Gran Turismo.
So, Wreckfest?
No, like Forza is like as close as you can get to simulation as long as you don't crash.
Back in the day on PlayStation 2, I used to play this game called Gran Turismo 4.
Yeah.
And that was really like spot on to racing back in the day.
Yeah.
Like there was one race in that game. There was a 500 lap oval track, kind of like NASCAR. So that, I guess that could count.
That'd be almost a simulator.
Because you're like, okay, I'm just making a left turn.
Yeah, it's a racing simulator. Totally.
Making a left turn.
You could like customize the car's suspension or whatever to make it harder or softer, I remember.
Yeah, it was a good game back in the day. For its time.
Remember after the last podcast, we stuck around a little bit after and fired up House Flipper, a renovation simulator. A little bit.
Pizza box removal simulator.
You can I've seen people do that. There's a couple YouTubers I've seen that do like renovation things in 7 Days to Die. They'll pick a house like
oh really?
Freddy Krueger's house is in 7 Days to Die, the Elm Street house. Yeah. And I watched the guy completely renovate it so you work at night to put it on the market like a simulator, kind of like pretending, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Be definitely interesting in 7 Days to Die, especially.
If you go into creative mode in 7 Days to Die, so much building like tools and things you can do that you can't. I mean, I guess you could do it in the real game. It just takes a lot longer and more time because you have to craft everything yourself. But the creative side is insane.
I played.
I'm kind of interested to try out that flight simulator. Like, I don't think I'll play it forever, but I do want to boot it up, and then have a go, but just to see what it's like. My question is, do you guys think simulator games are going too far, or they're good?
Depends on which side you look at. If you look at the fucking...
Because I've got a list here of some weird-ass simulator games that I've found.
I think when you're starting to simulate cutting your grass, I think we've gone a little too far in simulating.
Well, I saw this one video of this simulation game, and this dude was like walking to this chick in the game and just smacking her titties, and they were like jiggling and stuff. And I'm like, well, that's a little too far, maybe.
Titty simulator?
Relying on like porn style,
All right.
But
wait. Some of these games that I found that are simulator games.
Okay.
Right. So there's Flight Simulator, right? There's a game here called Aeroplane Mode, and it's a simulator where you're the passenger on a plane, and all you do is sit in the seat and watch in-flight movies and get your little meal and read the shitty magazines. And if you choose a 4-hour trip, that simulation goes for 4 hours.
Good.
So that's right. There's Bee Simulator. You play as a bee and you have to fly around and pollinate flowers. There's Sim Ant, which is like Sim City, but you're an ant. There's Dog Sled Saga, which is a simulation about dog sledding. PC Building Simulator. Tech Support Simulator, where you play somebody in tech support. People send you emails and you have to try and figure out how to fix their computers. Pizza Simulator, where you have to take the call, make the pizza, cook the pizza, deliver the pizza. Speaking Simulator, where you play as an alien and you have to teach him how to talk. That's weird.
That's funny.
This game isn't out yet, but I am interested in this. Pope Simulator. Apparently it's coming out soon. There's one here called Dating Sims. That's its whole beast within itself. But there's one here called Later Daters, where it's a dating sim that's set in an old people's home. So that's kind of interesting. An airport for aliens currently run by dogs. What? So and then there's My Horse and Me, which is where you play as a girl who has a horse and you have to groom it and everything else.
I thought you said there was a horse.
And then I fell down the hole of horse simulators. And, oh, man, it's this whole beast. So there's... Would you like me to list off some horse simulator games that I found?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Okay. So there's Horse Life Adventure, Horse Life 2. Pony Friends.
Are buying these.
Well, I'm thinking, all right, so there's 3 Horse Life Adventure games. Like, how many units do you have to sell to get the next one greenlit, And then there's Pony Friends, Pony Friends 2, Imagine Champions Club, Pets Club Horse Edition. Like, it
This never ends.
I think we should do a Let's Play on horse simulators.
I'm down.
Only one that I've played that you listed was Ant Simulator.
Ant Simulator.
Yeah. I've totally crushed that out.
I actually played Sim Ant way back on the Super Nintendo or something like that. I do remember playing that one.
Well, that Sim Ant was actually a very old game, yeah. That's an old game.
Yeah, and I don't even remember how it worked, but it was like, you're an ant. You have to go and get food and shit.
You gotta fight the red ants, I know that.
Yeah.
Then the spiders.
That reminded you listen off that list. That reminded me. Okay, there's one played, and it was a mechanic simulator where you'd go into a junkyard and you'd find this beat up car and you'd restore it part for part. And that was the whole object of the game, was just to find a car, restore it, and then sell it. But you were actually the mechanic. You'd actually have to break down the engine part from part, and the suspension, the brake systems, everything. I played that one a little bit.
There's no Pony Club Horse Friends edition.
No.
True.
Yeah. So then my next thing is I've got an idea for a simulator that I think we should get kickstarted.
Okay. Got a pen and paper.
Yeah. No. Well, this is trademarked, so nobody else can steal this, right?
Pending.
Right? It's got to be cutting edge graphics, though. I'm talking 8K, 120 frames a second, Unreal 9 engine, right? So, Human Centipede Simulator.
Holy shit!
I'm in. You have me.
We all expected that.
So, should we
Do
try
you
and
get
make this
play as
game
any
open
part of the
world, or do
body?
you want stage-based? Like, how should we go for this?
We need to start going to
Start
companies.
off at like the end, and you could work your way up to being the head of the centipede.
Well,
Oh,
and
do you
then I'm
wanna
thinking
be that
over
guy?
time, right, we can add VR support
Oh Lord!
and like maybe like co-op, you know, and then even couch co-op. So when it gets exciting, and if you want to go right out there, you can put a battle royale on here somehow. I'm sure you can manage to get it.
Depending how many friends you're playing with, depends on how long.
And do
your
you think it
centipede
should
is.
have motion controls or touch controls or something? Maybe even branch it off into an MMO, like further down the track. You know what I mean? Yeah,
You got
Human
something
Centipede
here.
Simulator. Yeah, that's right.
Like it?
I mean, I've got a phone call tomorrow with Activision. Well, we're going to put it into production.
You got a meeting?
They'll hammer it out.
They don't know it yet, but yes, I do. I'm just going to turn up there.
It's funny.
Okay, back. One of the things you mentioned on your list there, Stinky, was dating simulators, and I actually heard through a friend of mine about this game. But there's actually a game on Steam. It's called "I Love You, Colonel Sanders," a finger-licking good dating simulator, and it is the dating simulator where you try to date Colonel Sanders, the creator of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I mean, do you get lifetime free fried chicken
I don't know.
if you win? Because that'd be like
I do a lot of sexy
The
things.
shit.
It's free to
I'll
play.
rub some drumsticks on my nipples if I get free chicken for life.
That might be what it takes. It's got 10,036 very positive reviews.
That brings it to that one rule though that Bardo brought up a while back.
Oh, 34.
Yeah, it's borderline on that rule. It's like dancing on the edge.
It's fun.
But dating simulators, oh man, is there some dumb dating simulators? There's ones where you're birds and you have to date other birds and just like, what?
It's just
Yeah,
this
it's-
giant fucking rabbit hole of dating sims.
And a lot of them are sexy time adult games, but then there are some that are like, you know, proper games. That's
Does that bring up, have we gone too far with simulator games, or do you still think they'd be fun to play?
I think some simulator games have their place, but some things just go too far. Like, do you really want to play airplane mode where you got to sit on a plane for 4 hours and pretend to be a shitty passenger and read the garbage magazines that they give you? No, that's
And
fucking,
the
that's too
dingy
far.
button every 10 minutes, yeah.
Bring me crackers and peanuts now.
Yeah.
Though, and I couldn't cut grass. I'd love to play a simulator where I would cut grass, you know, because it's just something I like to do. If I
but
couldn't
like-
do it, I could get that fixed.
I mean, I got to play Lawnmower Simulator. Probably, well, I ain't gonna do it this weekend because it's 4th of July weekend. But Monday, after I go pick up my prize drawing, I got to play Lawnmower Simulator in real life.
That. Oh, is it worth getting a simulator when you have to also do it outside?
I mean, it depends on how much you like mowing grass, I guess.
Guess so.
If that's like Bardo's favorite pastime, more power to him, you know?
Yeah.
He's that
So if
guy
I like
that's
to
out there
build-
with that perfect yard with he's got the scissors and he's on his trimming
And he's a lot of time.
in his cut off blue jeans, you know, that are cut off right above his
Is
knee.
Daisy Dukes.
Yeah,
Daisy Dukes, yeah.
And he's cutting his grass with scissors.
It's my
Sounds like
teeth.
something good, too. His teeth.
I think some games have their simulator.
It turns into a goat simulator when you start eating it.
Which is another great simulator game. I enjoyed that one. I mean, I don't think it's a simulator. It's more like, let's just throw a goat around a city and try and break shit. And, you know, have a jetpack for no reason.
Everything else,
Well,
in it, didn't
like, say, I wouldn't call Tony Hawk a simulator, but that other game, Skate, if you played those games, they were kind of a simulator, I guess.
I mean, like SSX Tricky for the snowboarding, not a simulator, but I think Amped for like the original Xbox. That was very realistic. Like you weren't pulling your board off to do tricks. You were just doing, standard 360s, maybe like a 720. Nothing crazy. I guess that'd be a simulator too.
Okay, let's take a minute to hear a word from our sponsor. Bringing up those older games, let's get into what game and/or / vintage game had a huge impact on us when we were growing up. And let's go in a lineup here. So when I say vintage, I looked up the definition of vintage, and basically anything 25 years or older makes you vintage. Keep that in mind. Or just a game that we all enjoyed, or you enjoyed, that got you hooked in the gaming world. So Stinky, do you want to start off with go back in your memories? And
it's definitely not the first game I ever played, but something that sort of had a huge impact on my life even till now would be Street Fighter 2.
That's vintage.
Yeah. But it's not like first console I ever owned, but Street Fighter 2 is the first game that I actually kind of started playing pretty seriously. Like I used to get lunch money, never bought lunch at school, save that money, and then every weekend go down there, just rule that Street Fighter 2 machine at the local arcade with an iron fist. My friends and I sort of looked up combos and frame data and all that sort of stuff, and then that bled into me being older as an adult when Street Fighter 4 came out, playing that in tournaments, which then went on to Marvel vs. Capcom, which is a game that I used to play very heavily in tournaments. And now I've got a giant wall unit over there just with probably easily 40 to 50 Street Fighter statues and figurines and all that sort of memorabilia. I've got 6 arcade machines around the corner, So Street Fighter 2 definitely had a huge impact on my life because I used to go to the arcades at least 3 out of 4 weekends and just spend hours in there, just pumping in the quarters. That's definitely a game that had a huge impact. Yeah. And it was
making kids cry at the arcade.
Well, there was always a big group of us, that used to go down there, and you'd line up your coins on the screen, and I got next, and winner stays on kind of thing, and then occasionally you'd go in there and there was no one there, and some little poor little kids just trying to bonus round 3 or whatever it is, and your coin, and you just take his money.
Take his lunch money so you can buy lunch money.
But no, I have spent many dollars on Street Fighter as a kid, and then even now, I still love fighting games. So that's definitely a big impact for me.
That's good. Okay, let's move on to Doggy Dog. Do you have any games that you remember that really stand out?
Oh, there's from when I was younger, which I'm probably the youngest one in this party, so it's not super long time ago. You say vintage is 25 years or older. Well, I'm only 26, so
you're vintage at least.
I'm just now on the brink of vintage. When I was growing up, the 3 games that I always would play or go back to was Evil Dead, A Fistful of Boomstick on PlayStation 2. I don't know why I love that game, but I played the crap out of it. Freak Style, which was a dirt bike game, racing game, but it had it was line of not realistic, so you could do like 720 triple backflips and all kinds of shit. Your dude would run around the dirt bike and like spin the dirt bike under his feet and stuff, but it was a fun game. And then probably the biggest one that I played growing up and the one I played the most would be World of Warcraft. I've played that game since it came out.
I don't accept any of your answers because none of those are vintage by definition.
Okay,
I mean, that's not fair because you're only 26.
That's why I explained first. Vintage for me. I mean, if you want a vintage game that I played when I was younger, I would be 1 year old. I couldn't fucking tell you what I did when I was 1 year old. So
played the game of life
simulator.
Yeah.
But those are the older games. I mean, I could say I played Sonic on my little fucking my handheld Sega game thing. I don't know what the hell it was. Can you remember?
The question wasn't just about vintage. It was game. that meant to you, something to you, and or vintage?
You asked me what vintage game I played. Well,
Atari.
I mean, I guess I could go and say like Sonic the Hedgehog. I played the original ones on like. I had the handheld portable Sega console that took these big ass cartilages and stuff, but I've had Super Nintendos and stuff like that, and I play games on those, but none of them really caught my eye like the three I listed, that I always go back to. I still have Freak Style in my closet and Evil Dead: A Fistful of Boomstick. I have both those discs in their little cases in my closet.
Yeah, those mean the most to you. That's what kind of got you hooked into gaming.
Those are like going to be on when I redo my little shelf for video games and like action figures and stuff, they'll be up there.
Okay. Hey, Bardo, what is a vintage / game that meant a lot to you? Or not?
Well, that's like kind of a tough one because I got addicted to video games when I was super young and in daycare, and I remember playing like on the dock computers, the original Duke Nukem and Red Alert, and those really got me hooked into video games. But I'm probably still just gonna say Mario, starting from like Mario on NES and SNES. Mario probably takes the cake. It was just an introduction game because I would have been playing it when I was fucking like it's probably starting at 4 to 3 on the original Nintendos. And I've probably kept up to still date playing most of the Marios that have actually come out. I think the last one I did play and beat was Mario Galaxy, so I think I'm like 2 Marios behind, but I'm sure one day I'll pick them up and crush them out.
And then you said a game that actually clicked in the Duke Nukem games. I love Duke Nukem 64 on the Nintendo 4. I played the shit out of that.
Oh, Duke Nukem games were really good.
I played every Duke Nukem game that's ever released or ever been released.
I just remember like vividly
those
the
were
lasers on the dock.
Yeah,
those were good. And I really liked Red Alert, Allies versus Soviets versus Allies? Is that the one that was called? I just want to be able to play that game again. Red Alert Command and Conquer. Like, I want an emulator for my phone or something. I just want to play the original Red Alert.
I'm sure you find it on the computer if you look.
I've tried. I have tried, and I cannot find it. But I'm illiterate when it comes to computers, so I mean, I have to buy a computer.
Some of those old games, because they're old, you got to jump through a couple of hoops to be able to get them to run on today's computers. I know that sounds dumb, but like just because they might have been Windows 98 or 95, and you got to jump through a couple of hoops to get them to go. I can remember having the same drama when I tried to get Command and Conquer Generals.
Playing on one of my old the original Command and Conquer working on Windows 95, because I think it like came out very close to the same time, but it was on a different. Or it was running on the different program.
I can download Command and Conquer Red Alert, the 1996 version. Right
That's
now,
probably it. Oh, I want that. I love stalling out my computer as a kid. 70 mammoth tanks. That shit was awesome.
Okay, well, let's move on to Uncle Blobby. What is your nostalgia game / vintage game that had a huge impact on you?
I've got a couple, but the one that really stuck out in my mind as I was thinking about this question is Earthbound for the Super Nintendo, which is the first sort of RPG game, I guess, that I really got into. And I don't have any of you guys ever played that or heard of it?
I have not.
I have to Google it.
I know what it is.
I own that one for my SNES.
You know Super Smash Brothers?
Yes.
And they had a character in there called
Earthbound,
Ness?
Yep. And
He's
his baseball bat was his weapon of choice even back then. I really liked it. It was kind of like the Final Fantasy style of RPG where you got your party and you go around through the world and you collect loot, you get better weapons and armor. and everybody's got their little magic special abilities or whatever. But unlike Final Fantasy, and unlike many RPGs in general, Earthbound was sort of like set in almost like the real world. Like it wasn't a fantasy setting. All the main stops were like towns and cities that look like towns and cities in the real world, with cars driving down the streets and hotels and pharmacy shops and whatnot. So I really liked that aspect of it. And the graphic style was kind of cute and fun to look at. So I had that game for Super Nintendo when I was a kid. And then I ended up selling it to my friend's older brother when I was done with it for like $60 or whatever, which is good value for a used game at the time. And now the Earthbound SNES cartridge is on eBay for like $440. There's one for $507.
That's one of the most expensive old school games. I don't know why, whether it's just low production runs, but I do know that is a very, very expensive game if you collect retro games.
Yeah, I think there's few copies of it compared to some others. So I kind of kicking myself for selling it, but you know what? Whatever. I was like 12 years old at the time. I didn't know any better.
You never know what's going to really be a collector's item until
Pokemon is back in style. Like, holy fuck.
More important to me than...
I'm not sure, but when they re-released that little mini Super Nintendo, I think that was on there.
Like the one with the built-in games or whatever?
Yeah.
It might
I'm
be,
pretty sure
actually,
it was on there.
I'm not aware.
Yeah, so that's another way to play it.
And more important to me
and then that'll only cost you $400 on eBay.
Yeah. And I'll get 100 other games that I'll never play.
Because you can mod the fuck out of them too. One of my buddies has got one.
Yeah, more important to me than the $400 I lost is the memory of playing that game. And I could get an emulator and play it again if I really wanted to, but I'm quite content just remembering the amount of enjoyment I had there. And if I had to mention a second, I would probably go with Barto and say Mario in general. Particularly in Super Nintendo, I had Mario All-Stars, which had like the latest Super Mario World on it, plus like the 4 older Mario games. And
first 2 Mario All-Stars, if I recall, the blue cartridge and the orange one. And the blue cartridge had Lost Worlds, which was actually Mario 2 in Japan. But
for
us,
it was Mario 2 that we know of, where you pick up the turnip.
Oh yeah, that Mario 2
Mario that we
different.
know.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, but
it's really called Doki Doki Panic.
Oh really?
Yeah, they reskinned the whole game, and then they gave us what we know as Mario 2, which is picking up the turnips, because they thought that version, like what is called the Lost Worlds on that cartridge that you probably have or played, was too hard. And I remember as a kid playing it, I was like, fuck, this is stupid. Like, this was just difficult because they added a lot of invisible boxes that you just had to know where to jump, when to jump. It was Mario on steroids.
There's even poison mushrooms that kill you.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, cool, mushrooms.
Yeah,
they just kill you.
Okay, so if I had to bring up a game or two, it would probably be on the N64 Pilot Wings. That was one of the 3 launch titles for N64. It came out in 96. It came out. And funny fact, it's considered a flight simulator. But I just remember playing countless hours, and there's this giant mohawk dude that would run rapid. You had to shoot him with your gyrocopter, and I know you could have jetpacks and gliding. There's a whole bunch of parachuting. There's a whole bunch of different little mini games you could play within it. It was really fun. The second one would be 007 GoldenEye. Infamous 007 GoldenEye. One where you're not allowed to play as Oddjob.
that's cheating.
Yeah.
You took Fartron. Oh, fuck.
Like, that game there, I think, was my turning point for from being just a casual gamer to being addicted to video gaming. Is trying to get all the cheats in GoldenEye. Oh, the golden PP7, the golden gun, laser gun. What was that? Invincibility, invisibility. Just playing the game through completion to 100%.
I used to play a lot of GoldenEye, and if you played a lot of GoldenEye, which you probably did, you're probably like me, where you get to the point where you would know the multiplayer stages so well that you could just glance at your buddy's screen and you'd know exactly where you were.
Yeah,
and I used to run around looking at the ground so they
Yeah.
couldn't see where I was, but I would know where I was. And you'd plant like the proximity mines and the spawn points and stuff.
Really? Do you remember like some
So
first
much
person to die would just be like dead, then he'd respawn dead. Dead. It'd respawn, he'd just die, respawn. The whole system would kind of chug along for a bit. Be like, all right, well, I killed him 6 times. Oh, he killed himself twice out of that.
Or you'd go and pick up your own set of body armor and run over to the other body armor and put a good couple of shots into it so it wouldn't respawn. But if they picked it up, there was no armor left in it. Just so many dumb things I used to do in that game.
It's just, the endless possibilities of fun. And like, that was gaming back then, is when you went over to your friend's house. I'm going to go over to Marshall's house and play video games, Okay. And then you're sitting there playing video games for countless hours, trying to beat levels and passing the controller back and forth. I don't think that happens much anymore these days.
I would rather you stay the fuck at your own house. Play online.
I want to play together, King.
I've got a 50-inch TV and I'm not playing split screen for nobody. Like that.
We played split screen on like 13-inch monitors back in the day.
Oh, fuck
And you
yeah.
just have to take over your own control pad, otherwise you'd get the shitty one with the floppy.
Yeah.
With stick.
And the juice stuck in the controller.
Oh, sticky.
Okay, so as we grew up, I know.
Hang on.
Carry on.
Oh, no. Yeah, just before you leave the retro game section, if anybody who hasn't played it, like whether it be listeners or you guys, at the moment on Xbox Live Games for Gold is Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Ooh.
It's worth a download.
Definitely do that. Yeah, you told me that the other day and I downloaded
It is
it.
an amazing game. It's the original Xbox version, which is an upscale version of the 64 version. It is a great game if you haven't
Have to
played
do
it.
that after this podcast. So go over there and put it download. I haven't played that game forever.
I think
You have to fight the giant singing poo with corn for teeth, and you throw toilet paper in his mouth and all that sort of stuff. But, it's just so good.
I would classify that game as it should have been an M-rated game back in the day, or R-rated. Like I remember playing, and you start the game off, and you're drunk as fuck, and you're walking around for the first couple minutes. You need some Alka-Seltzers. Oh, I got such a headache. I need some Alka-Seltzers.
Well, there's a stage where you go and get drunk at the nightclub, and you have to pee on the devils to put their fire out so you can kill them. And like, what? This game is just too far. It was so good.
Okay, so for listeners at home, leave some comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, in our comments section or on our Facebook page or Twitter, let us know what games you guys grew up playing and what guys got you addicted to video game or playing video games at all. Let us know. Good. So let's get into the next section here. We all played a lot of video games growing up, obviously. But what did we start on? Like, what was our first systems, and what did we progress through the years? Sticky, do you want to go first?
Me? Okay. I was always a Nintendo kid, so I went. Actually got a normal Nintendo, and when I got it, I didn't even know what a Nintendo was. I was like, "Oh, what's this thing?" Like I would have been 8. And I'll be 39 next month, So, this is years ago now. So I'm probably easily the oldest one of the lot of us. But, yeah, so I got that. Normal Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. And then I got a GameCube. And then when I got GameCube, then I also started branching out and buying a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox. And ever since then, I've probably owned PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One X. Yeah, growing up was definitely, I was a Nintendo kid.
Nintendo kid growing up. So right now, you would consider yourself Xbox. Oh, Xbox kid now.
Xbox. But that's primarily just because everybody that I know plays Xbox. So, just for a social thing. So like I probably will eventually get a PlayStation 5, but I'll only play the exclusive games that come out on PlayStation 5 just because everybody that I know plays on Xbox. So I just prefer to play with my friends.
That's true. Hey, Hoagie.
I've had a lot of consoles growing up. I'm probably, like I said, the youngest one. So consoles were out before I was born, but I still would own them. Like I had the original Sega Genesis. I've had a Super Nintendo. I had I think it's called the Sega Dreamcast, the handheld one. I had the Nintendo 64. I had the original Xbox, the original PlayStation. I still have a Super Nintendo, and I still have an original PlayStation. I have had a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. I have Wii. The only ones I really haven't had are a PlayStation 4 or 5 and the new generation of Xbox Series X. But at some point, I've played or owned almost every system. I've even had the portable PSP and PSP Goes, and I had like 6 of those because they break real fucking easy. But
Always do. Hey,
a
Bardo.
lot of them.
Super Nintendo, PC, pretty much every handheld Nintendo. I think Hoagie said it, the PSP where you put the disc in for PlayStation. I had one of those. Xbox 360. Definitely GameCube, Wii. I got a Switch now. I think that's Xbox One. I definitely count myself as an Xbox player. Controllers better than PlayStation. PlayStation controllers suck.
Offset
You're gonna piss off a lot of people.
It's so tiny.
I agree.
That thing.
But
PlayStation 2 era, I spent so much time because we'd go over as kids to our friends' houses, and he had the PlayStation, I had the GameCube, and other buddy had the Xbox. Now, the original Xbox, that sucked. That thing was fucking massive. PlayStation controller as a kid, I could handle it, but as soon as puberty hit, I was like, this thing is tiny. GameCube controller, super comfy.
What about the Nintendo 64 controllers? You remember those? They had
those are great for the guys with 3 arms.
Yeah. What the hell?
But you just didn't use the D-pad is what you did.
Right,
you just kind of held it.
But that was probably the biggest controller that's ever been made, was the old 64 controller.
No way. That original Xbox controller, I could rob a bank with that. I feel I could kill somebody with a controller. The original Xbox?
Yeah, I have one in a drawer. It's not as big as my Xbox One Elite controller.
Really? They gotta be heavier, though. Come on,
the Elite controller is heavier because it's got a lot of extra shit on. It's got the paddles in the back and all that.
It's got a lot of metal in it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of metal in it. It's heavier.
That original Xbox controller, the original Xbox controller, it's like holding on to 2 fucking potatoes.
Yeah, there's so much wasted space in it. It's fucking huge. I'd like to see the comparison from an N64 to the original Xbox. That is, I was just saying, it's massive. Hey, Bloggy, what was your consoles?
I'm with Stinky. I'm a Nintendo boy through and through. The earliest memory I have was my dad had a regular NES, and he used to play this game called Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. And I never ever I don't remember playing that game myself, but I remember being super young and sitting there watching him playing it. And then eventually we got Mario and whatever, and the Duck Hunt.
Yes.
And then I got a Super Nintendo, and I got an N64 when it came out. And I had the original Game Boy, and then I had the Game Boy Color. I missed some of the newer Game Boys. I ended up getting the 3DS one. And then after the N64, I sort of switched to PC gaming. I didn't really get another console until I was an adult and I lived on my own, and I had a PS3 for a good chunk of time. And right now I have an Xbox 360 that I got from a friend of mine for free. But I've played it like once. And I don't have a newer console than any of those. I've just been a PC gamer ever since then. So
Did you have like a Switch that stayed under your bed? Till
I did actually. Yeah, I did have a Switch, and I sold it. So yeah, you got me there. But that was another Nintendo, through and through.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to commit to buying like a PS5 or this Xbox Series X or whatever. I just don't think I'd get enough use out of it.
I think there's more to a PC than there is an Xbox, but that's a whole other topic as well, right?
Yeah,
right.
Xbox.
That's what I was going to say. Which one do you think, since you're playing?
I like Xbox mostly still. Xbox at heart. I'll go through the list.
What consoles did you have as a kid?
Started off, I believe my first one was an N64.
Oh, you got in the game late.
I still had a NES and a Super Nintendo. I think I started with the N64. Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure. It was a long time ago, and it's hard to remember yesterday, but I'm going to say N64 because I know for sure. And obviously played all his video games on the N64. Then got Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP, strictly Nintendo, YouTube, all that. Then I picked up a PlayStation 2, realized I'd made a mistake, pulled it, and then I got an Xbox 360. We played a lot of Destiny on that, I know that. And I ended up buying a PlayStation 3, not learning from our first lesson. Sold that one right away after I made another mistake there. Then I got an Xbox One and then a Series X. Or Xbox One X, then the Series X. And now I'm pretty sure can be considered a Nintendo boy gone to Xbox.
You all grown up.
Yeah, all grown up. I do have a Switch though. It's kind of my wife's Switch, but I would consider it half mine because I play it half the time too. So,
and you got a PC, obviously, right?
And a PC, yeah. And I played a lot of RuneScape growing up too, so that brings in that. So that goes to our next segment. It's time for Hardest Theoretical Questions of the Week. This week I asked the guys along with our Facebook and Twitter community if they're a Transformer, would they be a Decepticon or Autobot? What would their transformation be, along with their specialty weapon/weapons? I know there could be a few more, right? So let's start.
Can I go first,
Okay.
please?
Okay.
This is gonna be. I'm gonna be a Decepticon, and I'm gonna be a vibrator for women. But my weapon will be to never get them off. I'm going to stop there because I'm already going to get in enough trouble for that.
I knew somebody, at least one person was going to tell us.
I don't have to penetrate. I can just be the vibrating part. But my goal is like I always like just shut off just at that right moment when they're about to hit that magic spot. I just stop. Just because I'm a Decepticon at heart. I like a little bit of
a little bit of evil
chaos. Yeah. Psych.
What color would you be?
Oh yeah, I didn't think of a color. I guess like hot pink. It's not really the going color of a Decepticon, but
A Decepticon, you got to be like a really off-putting color, like.
Well, I can do dark purple. I'll just do a dark purple.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to take off next?
Hey, you got me to go?
Yeah, let's hear from you. I know you love Transformers.
Well, I love the cartoons. I grew up watching Transformers as a kid, and I've still got some over there on my shelf now. So mine's nothing penetration device, so I'm not going that direction. I just had a look at all the old Transformers because I got a big poster of all the Transformers, and I thought, well, there's Soundwave and Blaster, which are the two cassette players, but there was no microwave Transformer. Same thing. His little chest opens up, stuff comes out. So his name is Ultra Yum Yum Delicious Supreme. He's a microwave.
So you said Decepticon?
No, he can probably be an Autobot because there can be a Decepticon version of him. But like he burns stuff on the outside and it's still frozen in the middle. But then the Autobot version just cooks it perfectly, you know what I mean? So you can have little microwave burritos and stuff. Ultra Yum Yum Delicious Supreme. His name.
What's your weapon?
He's only got an energy sword because we're not allowed to have guns over here in Australia.
It's pretty good. I like that one. Hey, Hoggy Dog?
I think I would be a Decepticon because I'm already an asshole in real life, so not much would change. For what I would turn into, I'm still contemplating that, but mine would be probably like a Mad Max style car or truck, just ratted out, junky looking, like 4-wheel drive truck, probably, or car. And my special ability would be to just fall apart because I'm a rust bucket.
So in the face of day.
Yeah, I just crumple into a pile of parts. That's my. But my weapons, I would try to have like dual pistol, hand cannon looking things, kind of like 6 shooters, but not. They'd have obviously a hell of a lot more ammo than 6 shots. Have a lot of
rust on them too.
Yeah, and just the real rustic vibe to it.
Sounds like a Chevy.
Nah, it's probably that Ford in your driveway. I'd say I'd be a Ford, but then I wouldn't be able to, So
you wouldn't even start up?
No, I wouldn't. I'd be dead before I even started. So like I'd be a dead Decepticon.
Just laying there. All right. So out of the other weapons you'd have, sorry to interrupt like that, but
I'd have the dual pistols, and then I'd want something ranged, like heavy range, like a sniper ranged. So something in that area.
You'd use your headlight as a sniper scope.
Sure. But only one though, because the other one's missing.
Hi, Uncle Blobby.
All right. I had a really hard time because I figured y'all were gonna pick Decepticons. I think I'd be an Autobot. I just want everybody to have a good time, protect the world while I'm doing it. But I would transform into a fishing boat, and my special abilities would include a grappling hook type thing, sort of like a overgrown fishing rod or like a harpoon gun, I guess. And you'd open up a chest and there'd be a beer cooler in there, never-ending beer cooler.
Supply. Ooh.
And that's about it. when you guys are all battling for the state of the universe or whatever, I'm just gonna transform into a fishing boat and go catch some fish and let you guys take care of it.
Drink some beer. Yeah.
Cook your fish in my microwave.
Yeah, there you go. You can come with Autobots Unite.
Yeah. Okay, so I picked Decepticon because being nice is not funny. But it's a lot funnier to be kind of a little bit evil in you. So along with being evil and being a Decepticon, I would probably be a transformer that would transform into a crazy cool plane. Probably, I'm thinking like an A10 Warthog. A mean, kick-ass job. I'm real cool. And my weapons I would have a laser sword for one hand and an electricity whip in the other. In my chest, I would have the minigun out of the A10 Warthog. More futuristic. It would be in my chest, so it would also double as obviously the A10 Warthog machine gun in my plane mode. Oh, I would just mess stuff up. Be crazy.
That'd be cool. You just got this big old minigun in your chest and you're just like pumping rounds down range. That'd be awesome.
And then whipping people with electricity in my laser sword.
And your lightsaber, we all knew that was coming. That was predictable.
I had to do it, and it needed to be done. Because
Turns into a space dragon.
Yeah, why didn't you you could have transformed into a space dragon.
That would have been awesome.
Final form.
Lightsaber.
Can I change my answer?
We could all transform together into a space.
Oh yeah, the Decepticons,
Power Rangers,
Autobots.
I guess I would be the dick of the dragon then, huh?
You'd be the dangly bits.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're the butthole. We haven't decided yet. Okay, so let's go to our Facebook and Twitter and list off some of what our listeners have written down.
All right, I got one from Facebook here. One of our viewers, David, said he had Decepticon. We're seeing a recurring theme here, a lot of Decepticons. His transformation would be into a 4x4 square body with 44-inch tires, and his paint scheme would be black with flames, but not nice. It'd be kind of a rusted, worn-out paint job. And his special weapon would be he would shoot rabid metal-eating squirrels out of shoulder-mounted rocket launchers. He'd have a Superman death ray coming out of his eye. Behind him would be two metal zombies with acid-eating bites.
That's pretty intense.
So he's
you now want to see those rabid squirrels.
Can you imagine that? Just some mechanical rabid squirrels just flying at you?
Oh, that'd be terrible.
I'd whip him with my laser weapon. Oh, we would be on the same team, so I wouldn't have to worry about him.
Right, exactly.
It's like you catch him as a microwave and cook him.
Yes, they could microwave one.
I'd have to throw my perfectly cooked microwave burritos at him or something.
Okay, so I got one here from Greg. Because he will also be a Decepticon. And his transformation would be a Mazak Intergrex, which is amazing.
What that is.
I know, Greg. This is hilarious. Continue.
He would have some rockets on him. Well, a Mazak is a milling machine. That machine is steel.
It can do milling, but it's mainly a lathe with milling capability. He'd be a Mazak Intergrex?
Yeah.
I love Greg. He's a funny guy. No.
Okay.
Man.
Do we have any more?
We have one more from Facebook. One of our commenters and viewers, Chris, said he would be an Autobot, but he would turn into an AMC Pacer. And his only ability and weapons and special power would be to scare away Decepticons because he'd be so damn ugly. So,
not bad. A lot of feedback. Hey guys, well that will do it for another episode of Big Gallery Gaming. As always, you guys let us know what you want to hear on our Facebook or Twitter page, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Adios.
Later, Gators.
Bye.
See ya.